I am good. I am so excited to speak with you. First off, the combo of Joe Dirt, What a Girl Wants, and New York Minute, you were my 2000s, so thank you for that.
Welcome. Happy to help. I love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, when mentioning those projects and looking at your new work with this show, it feels so different compared to your other projects. What drew you to this? Because I thought you captured this style so well and I was so intrigued by it.
Thank you. I kind of switched into drama, more drama and then much more action in recent years. And for me, this was a story that was so important to tell
Mhm.
from a message point of view, and uh, the opportunity for so many things that I love doing. Action, global, global perspective. We were in 3 countries, 65 days, speaking every language under the sun. A bunch of time in the Middle East. So it was exactly the kind of story I wanted and needed to tell. And I think every director will tell you that once you conquer a specific genre, you get a little bored and you want to go on to something else. When you look at my work, you probably think like, oh, this is insane. She's a comedy director. Ally McBeal, The Office, all of those things. And then, I wanted to start to move into, of course, other muscles I wanted to flex. And, an international limited series seems to be my favorite place to live right now. So that's how it happens. You find you have new
Mhm.
things you want to do and new stories you want to tell.
Well, if you want to live here, get that permanent residency because I love you with the style, that travelogue aspect. It really suited you. But, talking about what you are, stretching muscles, you seem to stretch your TV muscles often. I like your film work, obviously, as I mentioned, but I really like your TV work. What is it about TV in that format draws you to it? And why do you think you connect with it?
Um, I love the pace of it. I love that we don't have too much time to fool around. I love the urgency of it. You have X number of days and you have to do X number of work, and it's a fun puzzle to always be solving. Last Light was very much a puzzle that we wanted to solve. Like, which country are we doing this in?
Hmm.
One of the first things I said to Matthew was, we are not doing anything on a stage. This show will exist completely on locations in Prague, Paris, and the Middle East. And that became a very important aesthetic for us. So it was challenging and exciting. If you gave me a script and said we're mostly on stage with this script, I would say, I'm not. You got the wrong girl. We're on a stage in Burbank. You got the wrong girl. This is where I live. International work and work at a specific scale. At this point in my career is wonderful. I love to tell the big story with the big scope. And of course, if I can continue to be as blessed with cast as I was here, I will have died and gone to heaven.
I was just complimenting Amber about her and Matthew together are such a fun pair, and oh
Isn't that
my
amazing?
goodness.
Such an amazing relationship. I love, love, love that scene in the last episode where she says, you won't see me again. And he says, what are you talking about? And she says, I have a family too. And it's almost
Hmm.
as if he knew that in the back of his mind, but their relationship had been so survival oriented that they never really got it. And he was always saying, I need to see my family. Never, it's like it never dawned on him that she had a personal life and a family. And I just loved how there was always just this little frisson between them, but they were friends. They were
Yes.
friends. They were partners. And I thought it was a very interesting and sophisticated relationship to have between a man and a woman. And I was so excited to have it in the hands of Matthew and Amber. It was really a pleasure to do.
It makes the show that much more important, and I give you credit for handling that scope. Was it ever challenging doing all three, like the settings, the stories? Not to discredit your thing, but was it a bit of a challenge at times?
It was a challenge at all times. Every single day. We're doing all this international action. We're speaking in several different languages, teams from all over the globe against the backdrop of COVID with a
Yeah.
tiny, tiny budget. So yeah, every day there was no day that I could look at Matthew and say, well, we can sort of sit back on our heels today. It's like the Navy SEALs say, no easy day. Yeah. We never had an easy day. Every day was a fight for our life, but I think we wouldn't have it any other way. We loved the challenge.
It was worth it. It's a great project. Thank you so much for speaking with me today, Miss Dennie. It was
good. How you doing?
Great, Matthew. I'm so excited to speak with you. One, you just gave me cool points with my mom forever because she's a big Lost fan. So thank you so much there. That helps a little bit. Cool. But no, I want to say I'm so excited to see you return to TV. And with such a successful outing, I think, with this show, what drew you to this? Why this show?
Well, I think I was attracted to the narrative itself, the backdrop of this oil crisis that's causing chaos in Europe and rapidly expanding. And at the core of it, a family that we meet at the top of the series, and I think we fall in love with, even though there are some cracks in the marriage between Andy and Elena. I think you are immediately drawn to and have a sense that this family's a beautiful and loving family, and they care deeply about each other. And to have them separated through this crisis, and to have the sort of personal thrust of the series is them getting back together again, to be reunited and to be made stronger and better from the experience. I was drawn to that very much. I was also drawn to the notion that to being able to executive produce. I had never had that position before in any of the stories that I've done in the past. And I'd always wondered what it would be like and what it would feel like to have input and to be made aware of and to make choices and to collaborate with people on more aspects of the story than just the character that I'm kind of taking care of. And I was going to get an opportunity to do that with a really good friend of mine, and who's also my manager, Bill Choi, and to be able to collaborate creatively. So all those elements were part of the decision. Dennie Gordon, amazing. I worked with her in the past. And she's just a force of nature. And then the cast that came together. I mean, Joanne and everyone, and the crew. I mean, the people that worked on it in Prague and then also in the UAE. And it was an amazing experience across the board. And I feel very fortunate to have been a part of it.
No, Joanne, it seemed like a lot of that is things you agreed with, the family aspect. I absolutely loved your stuff with the actor who played your son, Taylor. I thought just amazing work. Was one, he as adorable on set as he was in the show? And how was it working with him? How was that bond? Because you guys are such a heart and soul of the show, I think.
Thank you. Well, it was incredible, and it could have been a very difficult experience because working with a child who's never been on a set before and it's their first experience, which it was Taylor's, you never know which way it's going to go. And I knew going into this that a huge amount of my scenes were me and him, and that relationship was going to be incredibly important offset as well as on set. And I mean, it always is when you're working with children, because I certainly approach that by trying to make them feel as comfortable as possible when they're young, trying to make it feel like play, but also, have the have the moments where we do have to be serious and listen and all the rest of it, and have those boundaries in place, but also want them to know that they are in a safe space. They can ask me anything, nothing's a silly question. Try and make it fun. And so I sort of approached everything the same way with Taylor, but it just came naturally because Taylor made everything fun for me. And it's, we had a few scenes together as a family, but I remember one scene when we were in the car at the beginning, and we were in between shots, and Taylor had asked Dennie if he could beep the horn, our director. And Dennie, was it Dennie or you, Matthew? But he was sat on Matthew's knee, and he was like, and she said yes. So he beeped the horn, and then one of the our first AD came over and said, "Oh no, don't beep the horn because it's like a signal to go." So Taylor sat there on Matthew's knee on the front seat, went, "Well, I'm going to have to move then because like." He was like, "This is just, it's just too tempting," kind of thing. The poor kid, like, you can't sit me here and expect me not to beep the horn. But so he was just so full of personality and such a clever boy, and he loved it. He loved being on set, and that relationship just built really naturally. So I was really lucky.
Well, you have that very mom vibe right now. I even feel it. So I want you to hang out with me in life to give me that kind of encouragement. Thank you. No, thank you guys so much for speaking today. I loved the show. I can't wait for more people to see it. I think this is going to be a great, I would say fun series because it's a little bit hard to watch sometimes, but thank you guys. I'm very excited to speak with you about this show and this role because, oh my goodness, I loved Mika. I enjoyed watching her. She was so badass, so cold, so cool. What did you want to bring to her? Why were you attracted to this character?
Well, for all the reasons that you say, number one, she's very different to me. She's very cool, and I'm not cool. But I think it was really important for me playing this character that you have. You know, I love showing relationships on screen that aren't necessarily. It's a man and a woman, and all her story goes alongside Matthew Fox's character Andy, but it's platonic. It's not a sexual relationship, and there are so many more layers to that. So I think that really appealed to me because it means that you have the challenge. You have to find what their relationship entails. You have to see what else is there. And yes, I'm hoping we managed to do that.
Now, besides just that, what was it about the show that you wanted to get into? Was it the political, the more social message? Because I do see you on Twitter. You are a very outspoken, a very political person. Was that a big factor, or was it working with Dennie, who I think is a fabulous director?
Oh, Dennie is number one, just terrific. But of course, the show has, you know, it's very poignant, it's very present, and it's really important. And I think it has aspects that make people really think. And, you know, it's kind of crazy how quickly things move with an oil crisis, for example. And we saw this in the UK when we were filming. I remember there was a few weeks where people couldn't get oil because there was it was partly to do with Brexit as well, but it was also the pandemic. And it was chaos here, and people were fighting at petrol pumps. It was, you know, it's horrendous to see, and it brings it home about how quickly things move. And in the show, obviously, from each episode, it changes completely. You find no idea. You know,
from
like,
episode 1 to 5, you're like, what happened here?
you know, and then you kind of think you do question, you know, that wow. With things, and then when we see it with people hoarding, as soon as they can't get petrol in there, then you kind of think, okay, this is a scary possibility. Yeah. So that did draw me to it too. Although I must say I'm not as active on Twitter since I've had my daughter, because now I juggle having a 2-year-old baby, which is slightly takes away from them.
I have a 4-year-old here. I understand. It is time consuming. Just a bit. No, going now, you spoke about working with Matthew on this show and your relationship. I loved your two's bond. What was it like on set with it? You know, was it just as fun and fiery back and forth? Because I could watch you two bicker.
Thank you. Well, yeah, it was great. We had a lot of time to be able to workshop that relationship, which was so helpful because then it doesn't feel like something that's, you know, a little bit kind of, is it truthful? Is it that? It has to be. I think when you do take away the sexual relationship and how are this man and woman interacting? What's their journey? It has to be very specific. And I hope we achieved that. But it was great. Matthew's, you know, obviously a fantastic actor, and kind of I've watched Matthew since I was, I don't know how young, watching Party of Five, you know. And so when I'm working with him, you're kind of seeing his process, learning from it, and being able to like bounce off that. So I really enjoyed it. I don't know if you would say the same about me, but
well, I want to say for you, you know, being there as his big return to television and all that, I thought you were a perfect co-captain with him there, and I thought you guys worked so well together. And Amber, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I had such a blast, and I can't wait for more people to see the Mika character. She needs to be seen and loved. She is so cool.